Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Gabe, Wendt on. Do you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Gabriel Wendt, and for this past summer, I've been focusing on posting on Instagram and working on my uh, go karts and stuff. I flip and sell motorized vehicles, so I work a lot on go karts, quads, and dirt bikes. And yeah,
That's awesome. Okay, so I just wanted to ask you a fun fact that your followers don't know. What is a fun fact about you that followers wouldn't normally know?
ooh, I have 7 siblings. I play hockey, and I'm a Catholic.
That's so cool. How long have you played hockey?
This is my this season coming up is my third season.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so I want to talk to you about your social media
Yeah.
and how it blew up. And so, can you walk us through the moment that you realized your video was blowing up?
Okay. Yeah. It was. Actually, I think it was the beginning of July. I remember because on Instagram it'll show you how many monthly views you have, and so it was beginning of July. I had just bought my truck, and I had no money left to work on this truck because it's a bit of a project and it still is, and I there was a barn right next to the truck when I bought it, and in this barn was this three wheeler. And so I bought this three wheeler with the last $30 I had, brought it home at like 9 o'clock at night. Um, I was carrying it back in this trailer that was squeaking and it sounded like a wounded animal and it was horrible. I brought it into my garage. I cleaned up my garage so I could film a little video. And at this point, I think I had about 120 followers. And my main vision with posting on Instagram was just like, oh, in a couple of years, I can look back at this and remember just like how fun this was. And so I threw together this video. I did a backflip in it. I remember this is the first time I used like voiceover because I just figured out how to put my voiceover, and I'm still figuring out how to edit, but I tried to do a good job. I spent maybe an hour editing on this video, and I posted it at like 10 o'clock at night, which you shouldn't post at night. You gotta post like mid morning, mid evening, and posted it. And I woke up the next morning and it was at like 8,000 views. And before that, my biggest video, I think was hit about 1,200 views, and that was super duper cool. And that was huge to me because 1,000 people watched my video. So when 8,000 people watched my video, I had gained I think another like 100 followers overnight. And it took me months to get the first 100, so I was like freaking out about it, and it was the coolest thing ever. And so I told my mom about it, my dad about it, because they're both very like they love that I'm doing this with my Instagram. They love that I'm trying to start a business, and so that was super duper fun. Yeah. So later that day, I kind of just forgot about it because like I figured like, oh, I got 8 views overnight. It's not going to get any more views. So then the next morning, or not the next morning, that evening, I went to go see a movie with my friends, and I was telling them about it after the movie. So like, oh no way, I don't believe you. So I pulled my phone out of my pocket and I showed them, and it was at I think 20,000 views at that point or whatever it was, and I was flipping out because 20,000 people is like insane. And I had gained a few hundred more followers. And that morning, I had when I still had about 200 followers, which was about the same as my sister Trinity. Um, we had decided to race to see who could get to 1,000 followers first, and then like the loser would have to do some punishment. And it was just something fun, but we were still trying to figure out what it could be. And I think it was that night I think we were praying, and I definitely wasn't supposed to be looking at my phone, but I had gained a bunch of followers, and I was super close to hitting 1,000 in like one day. So I was like slowly just like looking down at my phone every now and then while we're praying the rosary. And I remember like the moment when I hit 1,000, and I just had this like smug look on my face, and it was super fun. And then we stopped praying. I was like, guys, guess what? I hit 1,000, and it was super fun. And it just like kept going from there. And for like it was crazy to me because all of my other videos had gotten views for maybe a day at most, and they had just deadlined. But this one for almost all of July had just kept going, and it was so cool. And then yeah, like it hit 1 million views. I think 2 days ago, which was insane to me. And like I didn't have any big reaction or big celebration, but I kind of just like sat down on the couch and just thought about how surreal it is, and it was so cool. And then a couple weeks ago. So I'm in Grand Rapids, and every Tuesday night in Grand Rapids, in downtown Grand Rapids, there's swing dancing, and I started going to that with a couple of my friends. And the second week that I had done it, I'm dancing with one of my friends, and the dance ends, and this kid my age, don't know this kid, don't recognize him, comes up to me. It's like, dude, I watch your Instagram. Your videos are hilarious and they're awesome. And like, honestly, like that was the moment where it was crazy to me. It was so crazy. I turned into like a middle school girl. Like I was like blushing so much and giggling. I was like, no way, no. It was just the funniest thing. I don't know. Like my friends saw the whole interaction, were dying because I was just freaking out. Yeah, it was so fun.
That's so fun. I love that because I think when people like recognize you and you like stop for a minute, you're like, wait, I like what? Because this is
Yeah,
so like this is off topic, but when I so like FHL when we were roundtable hosts, and I remember we like I was walking towards the doors because like the doors and there's a bunch of people outside, and like I'm used to being like on the people outside because all the people outside are the people that were gonna go in and like talk to the speakers, and I'm like walking to the door, and Miles he like opened the door for me, and all these people looked at me weird, and I was like, and he's like, "You're a speaker, go in," and I was like, "Oh, right." And there was just that moment, and I just remember like standing there, and I was just looking at him, and he's like, "Go," and I was like, "Right." And these people looked at me, and I was just like, there's just like this moment, and it was probably like a little pride, but I was like, "Wait, I'm not like we're all like people, we're all normal people." Like Russell, I literally talked to Russell and we're like friends, and I'm like, okay, he's a normal person to me, but that we can be like more sometimes, and there's just that like we can make an impact almost, and
yeah,
so that's like it's cool when you have like those interactions where people like recognize you and people know who you are and like you don't have to like introduce yourself. I heard something one time and it was like work so hard that you no longer have to introduce yourself. And I was
that's
like,
good.
okay. Yeah, I was like, I can see that. Like, I enjoy that because I can like become somebody, and
Yeah,
then some people like recognize you. And I was like, okay, do you get like stuck with that part of like you see who you want to become and who you are becoming, and you're like, oh, I want people to know me. I want people to know me, but then it's hard to bring God into that. You ever
yeah.
struggle? Yeah.
Yeah, cause like I'm on Instagram a lot, and there's a lot of people that I think are really cool that make God like 100% of like Instagram or their like whole profile. For example, like I don't know if you know Drip King, he plays lacrosse, but like he'll start his video with a hook that's like, "Do you have 5 seconds for God?" or something like that. And a lot of times when I see that, like I'm a Catholic. I go to a huge Catholic. Awesome, right? But then like that, it just like doesn't work. It doesn't seem like he's obviously has good intentions, but it just doesn't work. And a lot of people aren't watching that. And I I struggle to find a good way that I can bring God into it without
Yeah.
being like weird about it. Because being weird about it, they're gonna think I'm weird, and then they're gonna think the whole like God is weird, and I don't want people to think that. At least that's how
I
I
get where
you know
you're going with that. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's definitely like impacted how I film. So like I there was one time I was filming a video, and I had put captions on the video from Instagram, and it misheard. I was like celebrating because I just got a project running, and it misheard one of the words I said and thought I swear it, and it like blurred out my mouth and beeped, and I thought it was hilarious because it just fit it so well. And my parents were like, "No, we don't do that. We can't joke about swearing. We can't. It's not a good thing." Out, and I was kind of disappointed, but I realized like why, and it was yeah.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next question. Okay, yeah. How did you feel like when I know you kind of like mentioned this, but like, how did you feel when it hit like a million views? Like, did you just sit there? Did you like mention you just like sat there?
Yeah, I it was like I remember it was like I woke up one morning and it was at like 999,000.9 or whatever it was. And so I was just refreshing it every couple minutes, just looking. And I remember I was in our living room and I just refreshed it, and it was like 1M. And I kind of just like sat down on our couch, and I thought I was like I could just like jump up into the air and celebrate and freak out, but like I'm not that kind of person. So I kind of just like
Mhm.
sat there for a minute, and I just kind of like looked at it, and I just thought about how like crazy that is. Like, cause like if you look at like, there's a lot of super famous people that get millions and millions of views every time they post. But like if you really think about like 1 million people, I think that's like 1/330th of the United. I think there's 330 million people in the United States, and
Yeah.
so like one in every 330 people watch my video out of everybody in the United States, kind of. I just thought that was like a kind of cool way to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, but that was cool. Who was the first person you told?
Um, I think it was probably my sister Isabel. I have a
Mhm.
like a great connection with her. She's the second oldest in our family, and we kind of like there's like all the memes about how there's the one sister that like beats up the younger brother, but they have like the best connection. Like that's my sister Isabel. So I think I told her first, and then I probably told my sister Trinity, and then maybe my mom or dad.
Yeah. That's cool. Cause
Yeah.
like, how old are your siblings? Like, where are you?
So my oldest sister is just turned 22 mid-July. Then it's 19, 18. I'm turning 17 next month. And then it's 14, I think 11, 6, and 3, if I'm not mistaken.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know. How many like girls, boys, like ratio is there?
There is 6 girls and I have one younger brother.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. There a
That,
lot of people's reactions, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so bad for you being raised in a house of girls." But honestly, it has its perks. Honestly, like my sister Isabel, she's basically raised me when it comes to like my style and how I act around women and everything.
mhm.
And it's just the funniest thing, but it's really helpful actually because like I'm a lot less, well, I try to be a lot less nervous around other people and other girls and stuff. And I attribute a lot of that to Isabel. So yeah.
Yeah, you're probably like a lot more respectful towards them. I know it sounds like kind of bad, but like,
Yeah,
whatever.
I know what you mean though. Yeah, just the respect around women compared to like I'm not gonna act the same way with my friends as I would when I'm just with them compared to when I'm around other people, including women.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's find you another question. What was the biggest change in your day to day life after going from like a small following to where you are now? Because I know that would probably like, change some things. Like, what did that
Yeah.
change for you?
So before when I would post like every couple of weeks or something. I wasn't really trying to make a huge Instagram account, and it was just kind of there. And I didn't really have any hobbies at this time. It was well, I think I was finishing up the hockey season. Uh, I finished up the hockey season, and then like I'd posted like I had one go kart that I worked on from the hockey season to like uh starting of July, and like I didn't really have any hobbies, and I was just really just on my phone a lot and just wasting my days. And so I posted that video and did really well, and I realized what I could do with this. And so I really just focused a lot more on that. I started making a lot more videos. I started working on these more. So this has become my main hobby, and it's taken up a lot of my time. And I'm actually doing something that I'm learning to do good and healthy things instead of just wasting my time on my phone. So I think it's really just made honestly made my life better just by just instead of being on my phone, just working in the garage, learning useful skills. It's just been super fun.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Because you work on other like vehicles right now. Like, what vehicles are you working on right
So right now, I have 3 that I'm working on right now. I have a this this little go just a normal go kart that has like a moped engine in it, and I've been trying to paint it for like the last week, but every time I paint it, I mess something up. So whether there's like a couple bugs that fly into the paint job before it dries, or like it starts to peel in one place, and
now?
I did the perfect paint job the other day on it, and then tried to spray this like clear coat on it to make it shiny, and actually the chemicals in it ruined the paint job, so I have to repaint it again. But I have that go kart. I have a it's a 1985 Honda Odyssey FL 350. So it's basically that Honda made them for a couple years in 1985. It's basically the first side by side ever made. So it's like an off-road go-kart to the max. So it's full suspension. It has actual technology instead of just a motor, and there's a lot of it's it's super cool. You have to like look it up sometime just because it's hard to explain it really, but it's super cool. And then it's the truck I bought. I'm still working on it. but it's a 1992 Chevy Silverado C 1500. Um, I I wasn't really a fan of Chevys or Fords. There's like a huge debate which one's better, and like I kind of bought it, and then Chevy became my personality. I was just about just not liking Fords. Like I still like Fords and they're cool, but like it's the whole debate. So I posted like a couple videos saying how Chevy's better than Ford, and it's super funny.
I love that. Because are you gonna like flip them and sell them, or are you keeping any of them?
So yeah, usually so my Honda, I think I'll keep that. I bought it for a pretty good deal and I could make a few $100s off of it if I did decide to sell it. But they're so old and they've only gone up in value. So I think if I held on to it for a few more years, it's gonna go up a lot more. So I plan on
Yeah.
keeping that. But everything else right now, I plan to flip. Just because I would keep my truck because it's super cool, but I think it gets 10 miles a gallon, and as a 16-year-old, I cannot afford that. So I will not be driving that as my daily. Especially because I start school this Monday, and so I'm going to two schools basically. So I'm in a co-op, which is Tuesday and Thursday, and then I'm in a it's called Kent Career Tech Center. It's a tech school where I'll be working. It's like one class early in the morning. It's a few hours long, and I'll be learning automotive collision repair. So I'll be learning how to fix crash damaged cars, which is super exciting, and
It's
that'll
cool.
be a lot of driving because that's every day. And so I'm not gonna be driving a guzzling V8 to school every
Yeah,
day because I can't afford that.
for sure. Yeah. So what do you drive right now? Like, do you have a different car?
So right now I'm just using my mom's vehicle. She has a 2017 Chevy Tahoe, which is a big V8, but it is a lot more efficient than my old Chevy. So that's
Right.
what I've been mostly driving. But we also she doesn't like me driving it too much because that's like the nice car of the family. But we have an old like 12 passenger van that we used to bus everybody around in that I usually drive
Mm,
to.
that's fine. Okay, sorry, that was a random question. I was just like, what?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, how has your faith influenced the type of like content you create and the way you show up online?
Um, I'm gonna start that just not as much as it should have. I need to. I know you and me had a conversation a couple weeks ago about how I could do more, and I
Yeah.
do need to do more. I had like the past months it's just been like kind of rough. I had a bunch of friends leaving for like college, and then I had two of my friends leave for camp, and my sister was gone too, my sister Isabel. So I was kind of like I was just pretty lonely for a couple weeks, and so I was just in like a bad place. But I like started Exodus last week with my friend Evan, my brother-in-law, and so that's been doing a lot better, and I've been just trying to brainstorm and think of more ways that I can bring God into my content. And like the best that I've thought of so far is just by wearing just religious things. It's not too much, but just kind of just to let people know. Like I posted a video of me painting my go-kart, and I had like a cool like ring that said like man of God on it and had its crown. It's a cool ring. I got it. I went to a retreat at uh Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio last year, and I bought matching rings with a couple buddies of mine that I've known all my life, and it's super fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that's because like you see these people and they like they're influencers, right? You just see like all these influencers, but a lot of time you don't know that they believe in God. I think that that's a really sad thing is that like
Yeah,
God allowed you to have all these followers and God like allowed you to have all this influence, but you don't need it for you because the next like few like after a few generations they're not gonna remember who you are. It doesn't matter like who
yeah,
you are, how you show up. Like when you get to judgment, it's not gonna matter how many followers you had. It's gonna matter like how many people you're bringing with you. And
exactly.
that was a lot. Like that's the main thing about when I post is like, okay, how am I bringing God into what I have? So like usually like what's on my Instagram is about God, and not that I'm saying yours is not. Like, that's not him thing,
Yeah,
but like it's kind of cool because you put that out there, and like even
yeah,
yeah, just wearing like a shirt that says something, or like any like random thing like that. But there's just people notice. People start to notice that you don't cuss. People start to notice that like as a girl, like the things you wear. People start to notice the way you treat other people. And I think that sometimes you don't always have to show God by showing what's in the Bible. like showing them the Bible. Like you don't have to show them like a Bible and like this is preaching them, but like your witness of who you are. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if that made sense. But like how you show up isn't always like read this Bible verse, read this Bible verse. This is what God's like, but you can show God through you. And so I think that's the cool part of that. Like God has given you like this platform that you can now grow and like show other people God. And so that'll be
Yeah.
like, cool to see how you take
Yeah.
that.
It kind of just reminded me. So like I'm very homeschooled. I'm mostly homeschooled, and then I go to a 2 day a week co-op with a bunch of my friends, all Catholic. So I have very like Catholic community that I grew up in. I never like I must say this kind of weird. I don't mean it in a weird way, but like I never really experienced like public schoolers, and I
Mhm.
say that in like a weird way, but I don't mean it in that. But when uh when I started hockey, it wasn't my idea. My mom signed me up without telling me, and then like a couple days before, she was like, "Oh, by the way, I signed you up for a hockey." And I was like, "Oh, okay. What friends are doing it that I know?" And just, "Oh, none of your friends are doing it." And I was like, I was mad. I was a little bit mad at her because I didn't know how to skate. I had never been on. I think I had been on ice skates one time before I started hockey, and so I remember like the first couple weeks, they because they put you on like a practice team, and then a couple weeks into the season they put you on an actual team. And on this practice team, so I like show up with my stuff, and I'm like I don't know anybody, so I'm kind of just keeping my head down. And I see this one kid. You know those kids that just look like they're gonna cause trouble. This guy just looked like that, and I was like, oh, I gotta stay away from him. And I realized he had an ankle monitor on too, so I was like, this kid is trouble. I am not gonna be friends with him. And I'm trying to figure out how to put on all my gear, and I'm the last person out of the locker room with all my gear messed up, and I my helmet wasn't on correctly. And so I'm trying to skate, trying to make my way through practice, just grumbling to myself because I don't know how to skate and I keep falling over. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, your helmet's messed up," and he like helps me fix it. And like this guy's actually like really nice. And so like I was realized I was like judging people a lot before I actually got to know them. And so I was like, okay, I got to stop doing that. And so I kind of opened up a little bit and was just a little bit more relaxed, and just became friends with a lot of people. Started talking to a lot more people. And there was a couple people that thought that was kind of weird, and one of them came up to me and told me that, and they were like, because I was just having a conversation with them, and I was telling them about, oh, how I'm new to hockey and this and this is a new experience for me. And they were like, yeah, I thought you were kind of weird. I couldn't put my finger on it. It was like, yeah, I'm homeschooled, and I know homeschool kids, but they're just weird. But you're like really nice. I go, oh, I attribute that to God. And they were like, I think they were the kind of Christians that like, oh, we're Christian, but they don't actually really do anything about their faith.
Mhm.
They don't try to just grow in their faith or anything. They just use it as a label. And so I had one friend that they're not well, they were like Orthodox or something, and I can't remember exactly, but I had a bunch of conversations with them about the faith. And like that really just like every time I had one of those conversations or a debate with one of my friends, because like debating, oh my gosh, I love debating with people. It's like my favorite thing. I'm so bad at it, but like I hung out with a lot of interesting people, so there was a lot of debating going on, and it was really fun because I got people mad at me, and I corrected people, and they realized that they were wrong. I had one of my friends, her name was Jay, that was very pro-choice, and I think I talked to her for like years on this because we had been put on the same hockey team for 2 years in a row, and we were really good friends. But like every now and then we just have this debate, and I got her to realize that it's wrong and all the things, and that was a huge moment for me. That was the first time I really like changed someone's large opinion, and that was just an incredible. Like I didn't tell her like how happy I was, but I have a feeling she like kind of saw it in my face because like I was like because I kind of she was like, oh, I start to understand, and I like freaked out, and I was really, and it was just so fun. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, we did like a personality test, and mine was like hates debating, and like 'cause we had this part of school like, where we had to do debates, and I was always like, and you like study, 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 and then you present, and you like debate with another team, and like they were like your friends. We had like a class of 4 people, and so 2 were on a team and 2 on a team, and then you had to be like both sides. It was weird, and I was like, I can't do this, and my mom was like, this is like it shouldn't be that hard, like it's like debating. People do it all the time, and I was like, I don't enjoy this. Like this scares me because I don't want to like tell somebody they're wrong. I don't want to like hurt somebody's feelings. Like that's a big thing about me is I can't hurt their feelings. I can't make them sad. I can't make them angry. And I remember the first time we did it, I made somebody cry, and I was like, this isn't for me. I'm out. I can't do this. I can't do it because I was like, I said like my whole presentation, like I'm good at writing, and I'm good at presenting. So the presentation made sense, and it was like I beat their team, and they started crying, and I was like, I don't like this. I was like, Mom, I can't do this. I can't. And she was like, Well, you got it right. And I was like, But they cried. And so I was not a fan of debating. We had to like 3 more times that year. And I was like, I can't do this, Mom. But yeah, debating is cool. Like I bet I could see you being good at that. Like I'm just not that person. I don't know
Yeah.
where that came in, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. There's a I don't like talking in front of a lot of people too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a big thing. Like I remember there was like every most of the retreats I go on, I go on a fair amount of like religious retreats, and they always do like testimonies, and that was always like fun just trying to do like that and just talk about my opinion. I remember there was like one time I went to camp a couple weeks ago, and it was a huge experience. It really like got because like I don't know. Do you believe in the Eucharist?
What is that?
The body of Christ. So like in mass, I don't know. I'm explaining this kind of weirdly. So that the Eucharist and mass, the bread and wine is the true body and blood of Jesus Christ.
Okay, because we're like we go to a Christian church. We go to a Baptist church.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Yeah. So in the Catholic religion, we believe that in the mass, the blood and wine is transformed into the true body and blood of Jesus Christ. And I'd always like that's like I was like, okay, yeah, I'll believe it, but like it was always just like that question in the back of my mind, and it was kind of just confused me because it looks like bread, it tastes like bread, it's bread, right? And then like I went to camp, and they had adoration, and they brought out the monstrance which holds the Eucharist, and I remember just kind of throwing this angry prayer at the Lord. And I was like, that's not you. The Holy Spirit's in the room, and that's why people are acting like this. But like, that's just bread. And I kind of just got back just immediately before I even finished the prayer, like, can bread do this? And I like opened my eyes and I looked, and like there was like every different emotion. There are people crying, there are people laughing, there are people like raising their hands and actually praising. And this is the first time I'd like gone to praise and worship and not like super judged a lot of people, because whenever I always thought that was just like performative. I always thought it was just kind of weird, but like I like really realized that like it is the blood and wine of Jesus Christ, and it was just like a cool, super cool experience.
Yeah. Like God shows up and like it's cool what
Yeah.
God did. Like church camp was it was my first year going to church camp. I mean usually like I swim and so all
Yeah.
year we would, like practice every morning and then we have meets 3 times a week. And
Nice.
so it's just like swim, 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 swim. Like sometimes we're at the pool for like 8 hours a day. And I'm like,
Dang.
okay, I never have time for church camp. Like that was never something I had time for. And this year I was like, I'm gonna make time for that. I remember I talked to my youth pastor and I was like, listen, I had signed up for camp, but then I went to Mexico. In Mexico, I like we literally booked our flights like a week before we like left. Like we were not planning on going. There
Yeah.
was no plan. But then like Brent Co-Peters had invited us and we were like, okay, we'll go. And
Yeah.
so we like showed up there and I was like, okay, that was a week that I wasn't expecting to be away from swim. I was like, God, I can't do this. I can't be gone for another week. And I remember going to my youth pastor and I was like, hey, I need you to take my list, like my name off the list. I can't be there. And he was like, oh, can you? And I was like, I need to work on my podcast stuff and I need to work on like swim stuff. And the part that he said about my podcast was crazy because I was like, I need to work on my podcast. I need to stay home and work on
Yeah.
that. And he looked at me and he like smiled and he was like, Rose, what is the name of your podcast? And I was like, Blessed Bonds. And he was like, oh, and how are you going to make bonds if you don't leave the house? And I was like, okay, that's rude, whatever. And so I went to church and I loved every minute of it. And it was such like a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
And it was cool to watch God show up. And like all the people, like when there was like worship music playing was the crazy part. And they were like, literally
Yeah.
like, people crying. There were people like being happy. And there were people like, there's all these emotions and all these people. And I was just looking around, like all of these people have their own struggles that they go through that we don't
Yeah.
see. They have all, my youth pastor calls like a hidden backpack, like an invisible backpack. It's like this backpack of things that they just carry around on them all the time. And nobody gets to see it, but God sees it. And I was like, these people are finding God. And these are all these situations. And that was just like a real, like, God is real moment that
Yeah.
the world couldn't satisfy them. That world couldn't give them what they wanted, and so they came to God and they gave it to God, and God like fulfilled them. And it was just a cool moment to just watch.
Yeah, there was one of the talks at the camp I went, because every day would be like a men's and a women's session. And one of the days there was this one man talk that this guy named Will gave. And it was it like because like the talks like they were always long. We just got back from playing football or whatever. We're still outside. It's 85 degrees. It's super hot and obnoxious just having to sit here. And this one guy was talking, and like it was just like it kind of just hit me. He was like, what did he say? It was basically like, in this world we search for fulfillment, and trying to search for this fulfillment we pour ourselves into these horrible things like our phones and our bad friend groups and music and the everything and like all the terrible things. And but like that fulfillment isn't satisfied by those. You aren't satisfied by those, and you can only be satisfied with God in your life and putting God first. And just like the struggle to do that, just because like it's silly, because like reading my Bible takes like 5 minutes, 10 minutes every night, and it makes me feel a million times better. Or even just reading it before I start my day in the morning just makes my entire day better. And I know this, and I've experienced this so many times, and yet like I'm still kind of addicted to my phone, and it just like draws me in, and this horrible thing. It doesn't fulfill me. It makes me feel slow. It makes me just feel gross. And like that talk, just like you only find real true fulfillment in God. And like that seemed crazy to me, like that, like someone that I can't see and I can't touch can do that. And it was like that night that there was that adoration where I like truly realized like the Lord is here, the Lord is real. And like I always like said like, oh, the Lord is real. He is, yeah. But like I didn't really like experience his love because I didn't let him into my life, because
Yeah.
I gave his place to these my phone and all this horrible music and whatever other things.
Yeah, I think sometimes we like don't realize we go through the motions and we're not
Yeah,
like actually with him. And I remember one night, this was crazy because I had a bad day and I was like, God, you don't understand. You don't understand. One of like my best friends was saying a lot of stuff about me that was not true, about things I'd done, things I'd said to her, like all these things. And I was like, that's not what I would do. And then she was like turning into like not being my friend. And I was like, well, God, your friends never betrayed you. Your friends have never like left you. And I was thinking about like how in the Bible, like Jesus' friend, like Peter and all these people, like they like, turned away from him. And I was like, I remember sitting there and I was like, it was all dark. And I don't have my phone in my room when I sleep. My phone's like out, like side of my room. It's like in the kitchen. And
nice.
so I remember like I was alone. And I was just sitting, I don't know, I was on my floor. Who knows master. But I was sitting on my
Yeah,
floor and I was just bawling my eyes out. And I was bawling and bawling. And I was like, God, you don't understand. And then there was just like this feeling. I was like, because you weren't there. And then there's just like this peace. And I was like, wait, you were there. For every little step, every little thing. The world, like, I don't have my phone. I don't have anybody to talk to. I have nothing except I have you. And that was when I realized I was like, I don't need anything but you. Like,
yeah,
everything could be taken away, everything, but they can't take you. And they can't take my relationship with you. And so there was just that moment I was like, the world has nothing on you because you are still here over and over and over again, and you are the only one who understands. Because I
yeah,
prayed that, I was like, God, you don't understand. And like, I just felt like this piece of like, I'm the only one who understands. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
right, because you were there for every single step of every
yeah,
part and all the things. And you saw the situations that happened. I don't have to like be mad. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to go against those people because they're just human too. And
yeah,
you saw it. So, and I heard something the other day, and it was like, God is defending you in rooms you're not in. And I was like,
yeah.
that's because when I'm writing a speech right now, because I speak. And so I
Nice.
had to have a speech for this like teen high school event I'm going to in a few like weeks. And I was writing a speech, and I don't know if I'll use this one, but I don't remember exactly what I wrote. But I was like, God removed you from some people's lives because He knew that they were not ready to be there for you in the next season that you're going to be in.
Yeah,
And so it was mainly like we were like I was changing in my life, like I was becoming this person. I was like my book was about to publish, and my like all these things were happening, and I was like, God, you just like took away all these friendships, and I was like, okay, well, you were in rooms that I weren't, like I wasn't in, and you were in situations that I wasn't in, and you saw like all these things, and you had a better plan. And
Yeah.
so I don't really know where I was going with that, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
I had
story.
a little bit of a personal story, but like a couple months ago, I there was this that like there was like a dance coming up, and there's this girl I had liked for I it was weird. I liked her since seventh grade, and I found out she was dating somebody. It was weird because, uh, or it wasn't seventh. It might have been seventh grade, which is crazy for dating somebody else. But I found out she was dating somebody else, and like I didn't know this, and I thought we were flirting. Whatever, a lot of chemistry.
Mhm.
I thought there was a lot of chemistry. Then I found out she was dating somebody else, and that kind of like broke my heart. I was like just horrible. I went into like a little bit of depression. I'd like to say, and instead of like just talking about it to people like a normal person, I um I just went to the gym a lot, and
Mm.
that really helped, and I prayed a lot about it, and I thought I got over her. And then last year, last school season, there's another dance coming up, and I was like, and like we had just still in my friend group, and we had like we were at this one gas station because I don't know, it's just a cool spot to hang out, and there's this like abandoned barns, and her and I were kind of bored, so we went and explored this barn, and we were talking a lot, and I thought again we were like flirting back and forth, and so the next week or two was like the dance coming up, so I was like, oh, I'll ask her to the dance because that'll be pretty fun. And I had like previously thought about it, and so like I prayed a lot about it, and God was very clear, and I'm just kind of stupid. He was like, "No, don't ask her to the dance. You're gonna be heartbroken, and it's not gonna go well." And I was like, no, it'll be fine because if she breaks my heart, I'll just go work out again, and that worked out great. And he goes, no, you're not gonna go work out. You're just gonna be really depressed for a couple months, and it's gonna hurt you a lot. And I go, no, it'll be fine. And so me, stupidly thinking that I know more than the creator of the universe, I went and I asked her, and she was like, oh yeah, so super nice. She said yes. I bought her flowers and everything. I was super excited. I was proud of myself for asking her to the dance. And later that night, she sent me a text and just saying like, I just want to make sure we're only going as friends. And like, obviously, like that really hurt me. And she gave me like this whole thing like, I just want to be friends. I'm not. This isn't like a hard no, but like I only see you as a friend right now. If it's God's plan, then sure. But yeah, and so uh, I was really sad by that, but I was like, I totally understand. And then later that night, uh, she, I was like, I totally understand. Sounds good. And I made like some little joke about it. And she texted me later that night, like, oh, that's so funny. I was so scared to text you this that I used ChatGPT to help me write this text. And she didn't realize, but like that really hurt me that she, instead of just telling me in her own words, she used an AI to friend zone me, and that really hurt me. And I just went into this like state of depression for a few months, and I was just in this like really really low place, and like I had camp coming up, and I was like, I'm in this low place, I whatever, but like I'm super excited for camp. Then I went to camp, and that's what like I heard that talk, and there was that adoration, and like the way that that has just radically changed my life in the last couple months is just crazy. Like I at the end of camp they have the campers give testimonies if they want to, and I like prayed about it, and God was like, yeah, I should give a testimony. So I was like, okay. um I absolutely hate talking in front of a lot of people. There was for example, my mom signed me up for a talent show without me telling me until the day of, so I tried to sing a song I knew. Apparently I only knew half of the song, and so I got halfway through the song and didn't know the other words and just ran off stage. But I'm in line to give this testimony, and the year prior, there was a group at campers that there's this miracle, and there's a specific name for the miracle, but basically, holy oil and gold dust appears on your hands. And I really wanted to experience that miracle because I was like, there's no way to explain that. That's God. Like, that'll make me sure of God's existence. And I was terrified, and I prayed about this like all that camp last year and all of the summer. I didn't experience it at all, and that so I'm in line, and I'm terrified, and I just like look down at my hand, and I see this like perfect little crease that like makes a cross, and I was like, oh, that's it, cool. I didn't know I had that. And I look away and I look back and there's like a gold little speck. And I was like, is that what I think it is? So I look up and I look back and there's more. And so like I'm in line for to get my testimony. And there's this gold dust on my hands. And it was crazy. I'm like in line in church trying not to freak out, but there's like gold dust appearing. Like there's like a whole name for the miracle and there's a whole thing about it. But I was like kind of freaking out. So I started to give my testimony. And it was like it started off really good and I was really proud of it. And then I looked in the back and saw my dad recording and I got like
Mm.
really, really freaking nervous. So like that it was like first half of my testimony, like a minute or two long, good. And then the second half was like, yeah, and I plan to pray with my small group more throughout the summer. Thank you and goodbye. And like that was the second half of the testimony. It was kind of sad and just I kind of just speed walked off the stage and it was funny. But then
Yeah.
yeah, I went to like Steubenville, Ohio, because Franciscan University does a like weekend church camp, and it was super cool. And we were giving testimonies on the bus ride back. And when she first mentioned it, I like took out my phone and for like I think it was like 30, 45 minutes, just in the notes app, I just like wrote down my testimony, used ChatGPT to help simplify it, made a bunch of changes so it was like all my own, and I gave a testimony and I thought it was pretty good. I was pretty happy about it.
Yeah. Giving testimonies are fun. Like I enjoy that because like I give mine a lot
Nice.
because of like being because mine like is weird, but it's with like an injury and like where I tore a tendon in my ankle. I came to God, like all these things because I grew
Yeah.
up in the church. I've always believed in God, but I had like
Yeah.
a little rough patch, and I was so focused on my own life and swim. I really idolized swim, and that became like my life. Like I was just swim, swim, swim. And I realized that all, and somebody told me one time, they were like, well, we figured you'd be at swim. And like, oh, well, all you do is swim. And I was like, my identity is swim. Like, that's how they see me. Like, I can't live like that. They need to see God. They can't just see my sport. It's not going to matter. And see, I tore my tendon in my ankle and I was like, couldn't swim and I had to find God. Like, it was a cool story. And then I like started my podcast and I wrote a book and I became bestseller, top seller thing. And so it was cool just like watch God like take it when you just let him take it. He takes it
Yeah.
far. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna skip some of these,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna ask you because I want to talk about like your shirts that you're dropping. I want to kind of talk about
Yeah.
that, and just like so it kind of goes into like what is going next, what's happening next in your content, your walk with God, and all of that kind of stuff.
So I'm not 18 yet, so I can't get paid on Instagram. So
It's sad.
to pay for these all the parts and all the stuff I'm buying for these projects, my sister Isabel, she's a graphic designer. And so we've been working together to make, I think we have 3 or 4 different t-shirts that I'm gonna be selling fairly soon. I think we're ordering some like we're ordering some samples tonight just to figure out like what quality and what's good and what's not.
It's so
So we're
exciting.
figuring that out. And I think the next big thing is that so my mom's company, she for the last like uh a few years has been working out of, so we bought our neighbor's house to make like a Choose Life headquarters for my mom's business, and they recently outgrew that, so they moved out of there, and that house has a really big like pole barn. So I'm gonna turn that into my own garage, and so that's gonna be a big thing. I'm gonna start posting a lot more and be more what's the word, just like purposeful about posting and make it more of like a job. And then I have to figure out a few more ways to bring the Lord into it. So whether I'm just giving examples of stories, or I found a there's this YouTube channel called Bikes and Beards, and he does like motorcycle stuff or whatever it is. And then like randomly throughout the video, he'll just have like this little thing that'll just pop up, and it'll be like daily Bible verse, and it'll be like this cool little thing. So I like that idea, and I'm probably gonna steal it because that's a good way to do it. But then also just like maybe designing a couple Christian shirts, or just talking about the Lord more, or maybe even I debated giving my recording my testimony and posting it, but I don't. Yeah, I don't
That'd
know
be
if that's
cool.
required too much, but I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, because like while you were talking about this, I was like, I'd love to hear your testimony sometime, and so like that'd be cool for you to post it, so anybody else who like wonders about that, like can like have that as like a
Yeah,
reference to go back to. Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty cool. But when is your like? Do you have a date yet of like when you think your shirts
When
are
I'm
gonna
gonna
drop?
start, I don't. So my goal was I wanted to drop them by Sunday, but I wasn't able to get the recording I wanted to done because I record outside 90% of the time, and it was
Yeah.
raining a lot the other day. So I wasn't able to record. I finally just posted a video talking about the t-shirts, I think yesterday. And so I'll talk to my sister Isabel. I think we need to reconvene about it, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I just drop ship them and I post them tonight. But I think they'll. I want to be a little bit more purposeful, and I want to have nice shirts. So maybe be a little bit more patient with it. But my goal is before next Sunday. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it is super exciting because like this is like I've had a couple little tiny businesses, and I've sold a couple things, but like this is something that I think I'll do for a while. So it's like my
Mhm.
first like real business, but it's super
Yeah,
exciting.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, I have one more question, and it's just like, can you give us one piece of advice, like life advice, that you use to keep yourself going?
One Piece. Ooh, you
Like
say
what's
it one
something I
more.
could quote, like like life advice, like a quote or something I could go off of?
This one is it's a like when you think of quotes that I give, I have one, and it's a little bit irresponsible, but it's worked out pretty well. You can take it two different ways, but ask forgiveness, not permission. So
Mm-hmm.
so like I didn't like my mom. She doesn't like when I bring home a piece of junk that isn't running or whatever it is. And so I didn't tell her about the truck I was buying. I didn't tell her that it had been sitting in somebody's yard for the last 12 years and that it didn't run. I just knocked on the door and bought it, and uh, she was kind of mad that I bought it, but like I've learned a crap load with it, and it's almost working. I have a friend that I'm gonna bring it to, but like ask forgiveness and not permission. Just like kind of just send it. Don't worry about what other people are thinking.
Yeah.
On the road to success, there's a lot of haters. If
Mhm.
you don't have haters, you're probably not doing it right. So yeah.
For sure. I love that. I said that the other day. I don't even know what we were doing. I think it was something really dumb. Like we were going into a store. We were at the beach. We were going to the store. And one of my friends was like, it was a boy, and he was like not wearing a shirt. And he's like, I think I kick me out. And I was like, I don't know. Ask for like forgiveness, not permission. And I was like, let's go.
Yeah,
And he was like, okay.
that's
But
fun.
that was like a funny way to put it. But yeah, no, I love that. Thank you. That's awesome. Do you
Yeah.
have anything else you want to share before we hop off or anything like that?
Um, I think I'm good.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you for being here today and like talking to us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a good day.